I don't pay any tax on my trading profits. And you might be watching this thinking, okay, something's dodgy going on. But let me tell you right now, there are many ways, particularly in the trading industry, that me and you alike can legally lower our tax burden to literally nothing if you want, by utilizing different systems, different countries, and different ways to actually set up your company or just your tax in general. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, okay, I want to get into something like trading. But of course, the more money I make, the more tax I've got to pay, particularly if you're based in somewhere like the UK. Now, let me tell you straight off the bat, getting these things in line early and learning where's best and what setups are actually best for your money and for your tax early on, it is the best way to do it. Because let me tell you, if you start making money now and you try and figure this stuff later on down the line, it's already too late, guys. You're already in handcuffs and you already owe that tax. And once you've started making money, whether it's for a company or personal as well, moving to a different location or setting things up different is a lot more tricky, because the tax revenue, HMRC, if you're in the UK, they already know what you're doing. They already know how you're set up, and they'll look a lot worse on it if they see you trying to restructure things later on down the line. It's much, much better to get things perfect straight off the bat. And that's what I'm going to teach you today. We're going to go through some different topics to help you understand the best way to make yourself extremely tax efficient as a trader. This is probably quite useful for other businesses as well, just in case you're interested. From a very young age, I was obsessed with how tax worked. And as soon as I had to start paying tax with my first job, it was really something that didn't sit right with me. And I thought it was like this all over the world. And then I started learning about different countries that had a different set of rules for tax, which made it a lot more appealing to foreign investors. So I'm here in Bali right now. Now, I had to open a company in order to move to Bali, and that company happens to be the one that I build villas with, so it's actually not even directly related to trading. But because I've got that company, I am here at the company's behest. I'm here working for the company. So because of that fact, the profits that are made from the company, which has nothing to do with trading, that pays the tax, which means that I can live here completely tax-free in terms of income tax. Just to understand the difference between income tax and business tax as well. Income tax, that's the money that you take personally, okay? Any money that hits your personal bank account for you to spend, that's income tax. Anything that's corporation tax is something that your company actually makes. And you have to remember, just because you own your company, technically you actually don't. You work for the company. And there's all types of different ways for you to minimize corporation tax liability as well. It's a lot more difficult with your personal tax liability. So if you're someone that's trading and you're taking all that money personally, trust me, move to a place like Bali, get over here, start a company, have some kind of activity going on. It doesn't have to be trading. It can literally be absolutely anything. It could be to do with software. It could be research and development, absolutely anything. And then that way you're going to be able to take your personal trading activity and pay 0% tax on it. Other countries that do this as well are countries like Singapore, Hong Kong. They're absolutely great examples. You can set up a company in Hong Kong. Any profits that company makes from outside of Hong Kong, you're going to pay 0% tax on. Now, that's a little bit different to income tax, but of course you're not planning on moving to Hong Kong anyway, are you? So any money that you take, you're not going to have any tax liability in Hong Kong either. Now, if you're interested in setting up a company in a different country, you can check the description below. I'm going to put a few people that I've used before that I trust to help you get set up in the most efficient way possible. So while we're speaking about companies, let's talk about the best way to utilize a company. Because realistically, you might be someone who's living in the UK and you don't really have any other option. You can't leave, maybe you've got family, kids, whatever. You're not able to leave the UK. So that means that any money that you take personal, you're gonna have to pay the tax on it. Now, in the UK, it's on a bracket system, so it goes all the way up to nearly 50%, depending on how much money you make. And you don't need to be making that much money in order to hit that top bracket. In fact, it's anything over, I believe, £150,000. You are going to be in that top bracket, and you're going to be paying 45 to 50% of your hard-earned money. Absolutely do not do this. A good way to change that is by setting up a company. Now, you could set up a company in the UK, which is obviously going to give you a lot more benefit to personal tax anyway. And in that sense, you're only going to have to pay corporation tax. That's considerably lower than personal tax. Now, of course, if you want to take that money personally, you then have to pay income tax on it. However, that company is also obliged to pay certain things for you for working for it as well. Things like, your lunch, things like travel expenses, that kind of thing. So it's lowering that liability more and more and more from things that you can actually put through the company. Now, a much better idea is to set up a company somewhere else. So let's take Dubai, for example. Dubai's got 9% corporation tax over $100,000. However, somewhere like Dubai is not checking your expenses. Now, this is not financial advice, by the way. I have to be very careful here. But you find countries like the UK, when you put your expenses through, the HMRC, the revenue, they are going to check every single expense that you have to make sure it qualifies. Other countries, they don't. So you can have a company in somewhere like Dubai, you can put a lot of things through your company and they're not going to scrutinize it. They're not going to have a go at you for booking a trip or something like that. They're not going to be like, well, was this really a business trip? So you can see straight away, it makes things a lot easier. You're not under the same kind of scrutiny that you are in the UK. So I'm going to talk to you about a line, okay? Because there is a big difference between the two things on either side of this line. One of them is tax avoidance. One of them is tax evasion. They are two completely different things. However, people blur this line constantly. Tax avoidance is perfectly legal. It's a way of you minimizing your tax liability by using legal framework and methods, some of which I've already explained to you right now. That's to do with, putting things through as expenses. That's to do with you setting up a company elsewhere, and there's nothing legally that says you can't set up a company in another country. Tax evasion is when you're doing something that you know is illegal. That's when you make £100,000 that year, but you tell the revenue that you only made 50 grand in order to lower your tax liability. It's up to you to really discover the legal means and the illegal means and make sure that you are on the right side of it. Because trust me, if HMRC do catch you doing something illegal, you want to have your story straight and you want to make sure that you have all the documents to prove that you are not actually being a bit dodgy. So definitely make sure that you understand the difference. And if you need help and you want someone to actually advise you on this, there is a wide range of people who can advise you this way or the other, the best places to go, the best ways to limit your tax liability in the UK or otherwise. And I'm going to put their details below as well so that you can check it out. So guys, tax, it's confusing, yes, but it's confusing for a reason. They don't really want you understanding this stuff so that you don't even try it in the first place. But adopting these skills, learning about it and structuring things properly from the beginning is going to change the game completely. And I guarantee it's going to pay off in the long run. So invest some time, invest some knowledge and really figure things out. Now, luckily for you, I've done a lot of the heavy lifting for you anyway. I created a free ebook, which is going to give you all of the information that you need anyway. And you can check it out by joining my community below where I give it out completely for free. And also guys, if you found this video informative and enjoyable, I guarantee you're gonna like this video too. It's 10 times better. So make sure you check this out as well. And I really want to thank you for watching today. Anything that you need is in the description below. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought, or if you had any better ideas for different countries or different ways to minimize tax. Thanks for watching.